Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to a brand new tactics video. It's the second one of the week as requested, and today we've got a viewer suggestion and he wanted to see SERGEN Yalcin tactic, and this is what I'm going to deliver. It's a very exciting tactic for me because I didn't know too much about this manager, so I've gone and done my research and hopefully I've replicated him and done him justice. But if you guys do enjoy the tactics, please do leave a like on this video, please do comment as well on what manager you want to see next, and please subscribe to the channel. It does help the channel grow and it does mean a lot. But let's get into the first save and see how we done. So, to be honest with you, I didn't actually know too much about this manager. I heard of him as a player. Obviously, he's done a lot for Turkish football. He's played in the Turkish league, a couple of loan spells within the Turkish league as well. He actually done a little bit of commentary, and also now he's done coaching, obviously leading Besiktas to glory not so long ago. And it was very interesting to see how he played. The reason why the thumbnail, by the way, has a 4-3-3/4-2-3-1 is because it can be seen from sort of two perspectives, and it can sort of be tweaked in game. And I'm not entirely sure which way I'd describe it. I'd personally say a 4-3-3. Some websites which I looked at analysis from studied it, say 4-2-3-1. So it's sort of up for debate on that one. But it all depends on how sort of deep that attack and playmaker does decide to play, or how further up he decides to play. But let's get into the first tactic test, which is going to be with Anderlecht. So, never tested with Anderlecht before, but I thought, you know what? It'll be an interesting test. I've never tested with them before. The Belgian league is quite unique in how it works. I'm quite a big fan of it, to be honest with you. And we absolutely dominated it. We won the Jupiler Pro League, I hope that's how you say that, and the Kruki Cup against, I'm going to say Club Brugge, against Cercle Brugge, with Benito Raman scoring 76 goals, Sergio Gomez with 36 assists, 135 goals scored, and only 14 conceded. So, 14 conceded out of 40 games played is absolutely outrageous. So very good when it comes to the defensive side of the game. And if we go in to some of the squad stats, we're going to go over this briefly because we have got 3 saves in this episode that we do want to talk about. So we've got 76 goals coming in from Raman or Raymond. I think it's Raymond. I'm going to say Raman like the noodle then, but Raymond. 24 goals for Sharon. Hope so you say that. 14 for Gomez, 9 for Amazu. In terms of assists, we've got 36 for Gomez. 21 coming out of this man here, 11 for Murillo, Amazu with 11, and 10 for Mario. So again, I'd say the goals and everything is pretty well balanced amongst the attackers. It's not sort of one player getting everything. Obviously, this guy did dominate, but that's sort of like, when I say that, I mean, if this guy didn't score all these goals, there's still a few players that are contributing quite a lot. 24, 20, and 14. And obviously the assists coming from completely different players as well. So very, very well balanced in that sort of aspect of things. In terms of the data hub then, we scored 3.3 goals a game, so over 3 goals a game. Pass completion nearly at 91%. So the passing is very, very crucial in this system. So a very, very good display. And in terms of defense, 0.3 goals a game. So that's probably one of the lowest I've actually seen it. 3 goals scored a game, easily under goal a game conceded. That's why we're winning so many games, because we literally are pretty much flawless. That's what we conceded. The expected was higher, but what we actually conceded was even lower than the expected. So I mean, to be honest, this was pretty much flawless. Obviously, we weren't the favourites. They are like when you actually load up a Belgian save, Anderlecht aren't favourites to win it. They have got a very good team, but I just want them to test with a Belgian side, because when I do these tactic tests, I always seem to go the same teams. It's nice to switch it up and just see how the different leagues work. And because we've got 3 teams, 3 opportunities, I thought, why not switch it up? We're going to be doing it with Anderlecht, we're going to be doing it with Dortmund, and obviously his main team, Besiktas. So let's hop over to Dortmund and see how they done. So, with Dortmund, not as much success. We did manage to win the title by quite a few points, to be fair. If you guys ever, by the way, do a save with Germany in the German division, look at Bayern's squad. They have hardly any players. It is honestly ridiculous. I don't know why. When I looked at it, because I was playing them in this final, I looked at their squad and I had a couple of injuries, but unfortunately, they still managed to beat me. We managed, to be honest, we got quite unlucky. We lost in 2 finals, which is a little bit disappointing, but we did win the Bundesliga, which is going to be the main aim, ranking us the best for scoring goals and the best at conceding, only letting in 17 against some very good teams in this division. You look at teams in this division, you've got Bayern, Leipzig, Hertha, Gladbach, possibly even the likes of Frankfurt can easily score against you, and probably other teams as well. But what I'm trying to say is, although we didn't do great in these sort of cups, to come in and win without making any signings, obviously, these have just lost Haaland as well. So, I mean, it's not going to be an easy task. We've come in, we've dominated the league by quite a convincing amount of points, obviously with some incredible stats here as well. In terms of the squad, we're going to have 40 goals coming in from Marlon, 22 for Royce, 17 for Modeste, obviously the new man, 10 for Ademi, 8 for Haller. In terms of assists, we've got 23 for Guerrejo, 15 for Royce, 12 for Mori, or Murray, and Reina coming in with 9, Ademi coming in with 9, Bellingham coming in with 7. Into the data hub then, team attacking, slightly less goals, but again, harder opposition. Pass completion again sitting at nearly 90%, 2.7 goals a game, so pretty much on the verge of 3. In terms of defending, still under a goal a game quite convincingly, so we're scoring, let's say we were scoring 2 goals a game, because it is 2.76. 2 goals a game scored, 0 goals conceded. I mean, again, very, very good stats coming out of us in this division. Obviously, this is a very, very tough division in terms of comparing it to like a Belgian league, because it's a lot more competitive at the end of the day. And I feel like it's held its own in this division. One thing I really do like about the way he plays is the passing. It's not the sort of the same sort of style as like, you know, a Pep Guardiola or, you know, like a Xavi sort of, it has to be perfect, quick 1-2s, but just the way you hold on to the ball is really, really good. But let's hop over to the big save, which is going to be a club which he has spent a lot of time at, whether that be to play in, whether that be for managing, and that is going to be Besiktas. But if you guys are enjoying this so far, please do leave a like on the video. It helps the channel grow. It helps out more than you can even imagine. It helps the video get found, and it potentially makes a difference to the video doing well or doing bad. It really does help out a lot. If you guys do want to stay sort of in touch even more, my social medias are in the description below. You can find my Twitter, you can find my Instagram. On them pages, you'll see me post when I'm going to go live, when I'm uploading stuff, etc, etc. It's a real good way to stay in touch, and I love talking to you guys as well. But let's get into the Besiktas save and see how we do. And this is where things went very good for us, to be fair, because this is the one save I wanted to do really well in, because obviously this is his club. So at the end of the day, I was like, we've got to do well, and we did. We managed to win the league. We also obviously won. I really don't want to butcher these names, so I'm just gonna hover over them, because I don't want to butcher the names, because it's a bit disrespectful if I come over and start butchering names. But we managed to win the treble there. Got quite unlucky in the Champions League. We got out of the groups, which is very impressive, but we had Liverpool in the first draw. And unfortunately, no disrespect, but the team's just not ready to compete against a team like Liverpool. Scoring 92 goals, second best actually, but still only conceding 26. And, sorry, in terms of stats, going to be Batshuayi actually, who is going to be a loanee, obviously. Scoring 45 goals. We've got Larin coming in with 19, 15 from Teixeira, Yalcins coming in with 11, 11 for Pjanic, obviously another loanee, 9 for Gazelle, I hope that's how you say that. I really apologise if I butcher names. I do apologise. 23 assists coming in for Pjanic, Rossier coming in with 18, 10 for Yilmaz, Teixeira coming in with 9, and 9 for Batshuayi. So again, you're seeing one player getting majority of the goals, but if he doesn't turn up for a game, it's not the end of the world, because you've got sort of 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 4 players that still scored a decent amount of goals to sort of pick up the slack if he did have an off game. So very impressive from this in terms of stats. And if we go into the data hub, slightly less goals, but still 2 goals, 2+ goals a game scored. Higher pass completion here, so obviously actually breaking into the 90% range, which is very impressive there. And defending still under a goal a game, so that is 3 saves with 3 very, very, very different teams, and we're still conceding under a goal a game, showing how good this tactic is defensively, and how good it is offensively as well, because we've had 2 where we're scoring over 3, and we've had 1 which is scoring just under, well, a little bit under, but still above 2 goals a game. So with that going in your favour, you're not going to be losing too many games. And what I do want to point out is, obviously, I simulate all of these games. So if you're in a game playing it for yourself, say you go 2 goals up, you can then tweak this to go more defensive. So when I did lose a game here and there, that could have probably easily been prevented if I was managing the game myself. But obviously, I pick the tactic, I do all the tactic, then I simulate it and see how it does, because that is then a pure test on that tactic. But if you guys actually play with this tactic yourself, I guarantee a lot of these results you could turn around and possibly turn them losses into wins. But let's pick a game from the schedule and look at how this tactic actually performs in a game. So this is going to be the game I've picked out. It is going to be a 7-0 win against Dresdenapor. I really do apologise. Some of these names I almost don't like to say in case I do get them wrong. But I do want to at least try, and then you guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Please do. But this is how the tactics sort of look. So it does look a little bit of a mixture, and I'm going to explain why. So it is what I would say a 4-3-3, but it can also be seen as a 4-2-3-1. Purely dependent on how that attacker midfield player does sort of situate in the game. So the back four is obviously going to be these players here. And then the midfield players, these are going to be the three in midfield. So you're going to have Pjanic, you're going to have Teixeira, and you're also going to have Nassib, who obviously, this is going to be the more attacker midfield player. And this is what I mean by 4-3-3. So basically, you know what a 4-3-3 looks like. Obviously, you've got your four here. Then you'd have your three here. Typically, you'd have obviously sort of them quite situated in this midfield. But from this angle, it does look a little bit more like a 4-2-3-1. So you've got your four, you then got your two in here. So that's your four, your two. And then obviously you've got your three, which is going to be Gazelle, Teixeira, Gaven, and also going to be Batshuayi. So it does look a mixture of a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. But it can also be tweaked in the game to drop that attacker midfielder slightly deeper, which then would make it look a lot more like a 4-3-3. So that's why I put it both, because the 4-3-3 with the attacker midfielder and also the 4-2-3-1 do look quite similar. So it does sort of, it's a weird one with that, but take it how you want to take it is what I'm going to say, because it does sort of, it all depends on how that attacker midfield player positions himself. But let's get into some of the goals then. There's a lot to get through, so let's watch some. So let's switch it to goals and let's crack in on some goals. Here we go. The first goal is going to be from a set piece. I must say with this tactic, the set pieces were actually a lot better than what I was expecting. Not as dominant as what my Sir Alex Ferguson one was from set pieces, but still very good. We go short here to Gazelle with the ball here, back into Pjanic, a beautiful ball across, and that is a bullet header. One thing I will say is these players are not shy about putting the ball in the box when they need to. Again, there is a lot of short passes involved, but don't feel like you're never going to ever see a ball get thumped in the box. You will see that happen, and at the end of the day, if it gets goals, why not? Then going to have a throw in there. He actually takes it long, a ball into Batshuayi, who flicks it on, and that again is going to be one of the set pieces you're going to be seeing, and that is something off the training ground. A long throw in into Batshuayi, who flicks it on, and that puts us 2-0 up. We then go again with Pjanic. Again, this you're going to see a little bit of a short pass and play. Again, you're seeing in this system these beautiful triangles. This is what you're seeing. This triangle here is what you want to be seeing. So here we go with Batshuayi with the ball. Turns, ball, a little bit of width there from Rossier, cuts it back into Gazelle, who hits it into the near post, and it's an easy goal. One thing you'll notice about this attack is how well they link up together, and it also includes the fullbacks. You will see the fullbacks link up with the wide players as well, so you are going to see how easy this sort of short pass and play actually is inside of a game. Which is why I like to show you the goals, because then you get to see exactly how we do score these goals and how you can expect to sort of, you know, get the ball in the back of the net, really. Pjanic with another corner here, puts the ball directly in. A beautiful ball in. A little bit lucky there with the rebound, but we'll take it nevertheless. And that puts us 4-0 up. This goal is going to be a penalty, so not too much to talk about there. But nevertheless, a good penalty there. Can't complain. This is going to be goal number 6. So we're out wide here. And what I want to point out here is how many options this guy does have on the ball potentially. So he can play it back into here into Gazelle. Obviously, number 90 here, which is going to be Teixeira, has got the license to go in here. There is so much space he can go in. But if this guy does panic on the ball, he could easily play it back if this guy drops back here. And look at the amount of space number 3 has over here. Completely isolated. If that ball does get switched, this guy can easily run to this side of the pitch. But let's decide what they do with the ball. So he runs with the ball, hits that run, which I probably would have done if I was in his shoes as well. Teixeira making that sort of dash and run in behind with the ball, holds it up, plays back to him actually, puts a lovely ball in, and this is where we're possibly going to see that little bit of space, and Teixeira finds himself going from here with the ability to roam all the way into this area here and picks himself quite an easy goal, to be honest with you. So that is just a little bit about how free these players are on the attack and how dangerous it is and how hard it is to defend against this system. They then get rid of a ball there. It's going to be into Pjanic here. A beautiful ball over into Keenan. Again, there, he could have played it short all the time, but it's not always going to be short passes, guys. You are going to see some long balls, and especially when the pass is on, it makes sense to hit the pass, as he did there with Keenan. So Keenan with the ball here, puts a wonder. I thought it was going to be a ball in, but actually hits it from the edge. And as you can see here by the stats, we absolutely dominated. Loads more of the ball. You will have quite a bit of possession, I will say, with this system. But we dominated the shots off target as well as on target, and the XG. It's a game which I think no one can argue we deserve to win. And you can see a little bit about the shape here, but we are actually going to break down the tactic now. So let's break down the tactic, and then we're also going to do the player roles, and hopefully I can continue explaining about a little bit about how and why it's so important to have this little gap in the midfield. So this is going to be the tactic then, guys. We're now going to break it down. But before we do, please do leave a like on the video. I'll give you 3 seconds. There we go. I do appreciate it. So let's get into this then. So the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be this side of things. Then we're going to go into a bit of detail about the actual player roles when we get to the relevant positions. So mentality, you want to be on positive, because to be honest, he does play quite an aggressive sort of style of football. So I would definitely recommend having that on. In possession, fairly narrow, pass into space, because that is how you see these balls getting played into them areas. For example, that Teixeira ball, which we pretty much predicted, probably wouldn't have happened if we didn't have that option on, because he passed it into a random bit of space which Teixeira was able to get to. You then want overlap left on, play out of defence, focus play down the right, and also overlap right. What I really like about focusing the play down the right is because, as you saw when I pointed out there's loads of space on the left, it's because so many people commit to focusing down the right-hand side. A lot of the opposition get dragged to the right-hand side, and then when we do put the ball all the way back over to the left, that's why there's so much space. You want shorter on the pass and directness, extremely high on the tempo, because he does play quite a high sort of press, aggressive, win the ball back style, work the ball into the box, play for set pieces, and run at the defence selected. In transition, you want counter press, counter attack, distribute quickly, distribute to the fullbacks or the centre backs, and take short kicks. Out of possession, you want a high defensive line with the offside trap and a high line of engagement, with more often than the press, prevent the short goalkeeper distribution, and also get stuck in. Again, as I like to say on all of my tactics, if you guys are fed up of getting constant bookends, then do simply untick this. But it does really help, because obviously when you play a high line, sometimes you do need to take the occasional tactical foul. So that is why I have it selected. Now, going over to the player roles then. We'll start off basic. Let's go in with the sweeper keeper. He's going to be on a support duty. Simply tell him shorter passing, because we don't really want him hitting it long. We want him playing it to either one of the fullbacks or one of the centre backs. Going over to he's going to be complete wing backs. They're going to be on the same instructions. So I'm going to show you one. This is one of the few tactics where they don't have different instructions. So balanced on the trigger press is going to be on. Get further forward, stay wider, just because you don't want them to stay too narrow. You do want a little bit of width. Run wide with the ball, shorter passing, and that is going to be it. These instructions made them fullbacks absolutely lethal. As you can see from one of the goals in that game, the fullbacks always are in dangerous areas, and that's because we tell them to get forward. And that's another big reason why I have get stuck in on, and sort of even on a few players as well, because these fullbacks do have the freedom to roam. Sometimes they will get caught out, and if they have to clip someone, they have to clip someone at the end of the day. That is modern football. Then we're going to have one central defender. He's going to be on a defend duty, sort of a more disciplined centre-back. You want him on balanced on the trigger press, marked height is selected, and shorter passing. Next to him, the ball-playing defender, so play your more comfortable defender on that. Still on the defend duty, not on stopper or cover, still on defend. We want him on balance on the press, stay wider, just to have a little bit more width, and also it sort of positions him closer to the fullback, and shorter passing selected with dribble more on. This way you will see him dribble slightly higher up the pitch, not anything too ridiculous, but you will see him get into slightly bit more important areas of the pitch and contribute going forward. Now this is where the most important sort of position comes in, and this is where I want to talk a little bit about the 4-3-3, because obviously at the moment it does sort of, this right here does sort of look like a 4-2-3-1. I can see why it does look like that, but obviously in some of the games you can sort of like drop this guy down here, which would not, or possibly even push this guy up here a little bit and then drop him back a little bit, so it can be seen and played as a 4-3-3 as well. And that is why I always am unsure, because it depends how you want to line up. It can be tweaked in another game. I've seen lineups of what he played with Besiktas, and sometimes it was a 4-3-3, sometimes it was a 4-2-3-1. So it does sort of differ in between how you sort of line up. It can do both very, very well, but from this, I would say this is more of a 4-2-3-1. You got your 4, you got your 2, then you got your 3, then you got your 1. But obviously, if you were to drop this guy deeper a little bit or push this guy up into that would then look like a 4-3-3, right? So that's why they look so similar. So the anchor is very important because this guy protects the entire back four and he covers for any of these fullbacks that do sort of find themselves getting caught out, and he just breaks up the play really well. He is told to tackle harder, shorter passing, and balanced on the press. Definitely not get further forward because this guy is literally the wall, the cement, the glue of this team. Probably the most important player, in my opinion. You then have a centre midfield player on the support duty, meaning he'll do a little bit of both. You want him on tackle harder, balanced on the press, move into channels just so he gets a little bit more involved. He gets into different pockets of space. Shorter passing, take more risks, and shoot less often. Moving on then to what is going to be the wide attacking playmaker, or advanced playmaker, sorry. There is a reason why this isn't a winger, and that's purely because the system just works better with an advanced playmaker. It suited this team a lot better as well. Possibly with other teams, if you've got a really good winger, you could simply change this. But for this team, this position, it worked really, really well. You want him on tackle harder, balanced on the press, cut inside with the ball, and also hold up the ball. I do this because if he finds himself with the ball and he's waiting for his teammates, having hold up the ball works really well because then he can wait for possibly an overlap, he can wait for a switch, he can wait for the striker to run in behind. It works really well having that selected, and shorter passing on him as well. Going over just to the right here, then is going to be another advanced playmaker on the attack duty for this guy, and he is going to be told to tackle harder, balanced on the trigger press, get further forward, move into channels, roam from position, short passing or shorter passing, and this guy is definitely the most attacking midfield player. This guy's probably more attacking than even the left-hand-sided midfield player because you want this guy getting as involved as possible, and that is going to be what we had at Tixera, and this guy was an absolute menace. He was difficult to defend. He was getting in all sorts of spaces, as we saw. He was all over the pitch as well. So obviously we've given him the roam. We've given him the ability to roam where he wants, and when you let him do that, he is so hard to defend, or any player would be. Moving on then to the right-hand side, a little bit of pace over here is going to be an inverted winger on the support role, and this guy is going to be told to get further forward and pretty much just cause issues. Balanced on the press, tackle harder, fit narrower, just because we've got one player that's sort of out wide a little bit, so we want one that is narrower. This also, we actually saw it, but even though you've got this selected, that doesn't mean that he won't ever completely go out to the wing and put a ball in the box. But if he does sort of go on a run, like say you put him in behind, for example, he will then sort of just cut inside with the ball and have a shot possibly, which is always a good thing because that means that the goals aren't always relying on your striker. So roam from position, shorter passing, and take more risks, because I'm not against this winger having a few shots on goal, being a little bit more risky with the ball, taking chances, even if he does lose it, because if we do lose the ball, that is why we do have a player like the anchor position to sort of sweep it up, take a booking if we need to. And this guy's sort of these guys are the last resort. This guy's like the step above that, the step before that, and he does obviously intercept a lot of the danger that does come through. And then going to what is going to be the goal scorer of the team is going to be the advanced forward player on the attack duty, pretty much the selfish player, mark tighter, tackle harder, shorter passing, take more risks, shoot more often, and dribble more. Now, the reason why this guy is pretty much all and out selfish is because I did try him on, for example, I tried him without shoot more often on, I tried him without this on, and he just wasn't scoring as many goals. I switched him on, and yes, he was a lot more selfish, but I feel like a tactic like this, you do need one player that is selfish, that does go out and purely focus on getting the goals, because you've got players in here that do pick up the slack a little bit. So obviously the fullbacks are on attacking, but they also will defend. You've got the anchor who is purely defending. You've got centre-backs, which one of them is a little bit more expressive, but will defend. You've got another defender here, which is purely about defending. And obviously you've got two wingers here, which are on support, meaning that they do defend as well. So that is a big reason to why this tactic is so good at conceding very few amounts of goals, because a lot of the players are on support, so they will come back and defend as well as go forward and score goals. But this was a real fun experiment for me because I didn't know hardly anything about this manager, being honest. I had to go and research him, and I hope I've created some sort of tactic that looks very similar. What I'm looking at here does look similar to what I saw from tactical websites and things like that, so I hope I've replicated it as good as I can. The results were good. That is one thing I will say, obviously, especially in the Turkish league, we've done very, very well, as well as winning a couple of cups. So the results do back it up a lot. But that is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do leave a like on it. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And please do comment on what tactic you want to see next. I'm doing my best to post 2 tactics a week now, because whenever I ask you guys if you want to see 2, it's always yes. So I'm guessing you guys just want to get used to seeing 2 tactics a week. So I'll do my best to keep that up until the next Football Manager, because obviously there's only so many tactics you can make. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. That's going to be all from me today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.